Man, I cannot believe it, but we are here on the Season 8 premiere of Entertainment Evolved. We had to cut the last season a little short. A variety of factors kind of got in. But, I mean, it was a 13-episode season. A good solid early Netflix season. The one before that, though, we kind of went crazy, and we kind of I think we had like 22, 23 or something like that. But
and sometimes it's how it be. You got those, like I said, those Netflix numbers, those Stranger Things season numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we go for whatever we got content for.
Yeah. What you supposed to do? How's it feel to be 8 seasons deep now?
Man, I debated back and forth of doing kind of the season format, but I kind of like it because, we kind of got into this cadence where every season we have like a major thing that we cover, and then we have a bunch of smaller episodes,
Right.
like, for instance, we did Ahsoka last season. That was a major thing. And then we had some kind of minor like movie reviews and things like that in there. We did Oppenheimer, right? Yeah. So some kind of things like that. Or, we did, in seasons past, we did Dark Side of the Ring, and that would be the major thing. And then we would do some offshoots like we did Final Fantasy VII Remake and things like that. So kind of keeping that same cadence. I actually think I've given it a lot of thought, and I think I am going to stick with the back catalog for Nolan.
Okay,
and
I was
that's
going to
be the major thing for this season. I know I really have sucked at getting that off the ground, but there's just been so much going on. So that is going to be the priority going forward. And then around the time that this season ends, probably around May, we're going to have a new studio location. So that's going to be.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's going to be a whole thing. So.
Oh man, you wait till the mics are hot before you drop that bombshell on me.
Yeah, we'll talk off mic after that.
Okay.
Episode. That being said, welcome back everybody. Thank you for sticking with us. There's been so much going on in the world, but also not right because we had the second longest writer strike ever.
Yeah.
Or was it the longest? I want to say the 2004 one was longer.
There was one in 2004?
Whenever the last one was.
Oh, yeah. That was,
or was that 7?
I think it was 7.
It's
like 7, 8, yeah.
But, yeah, it was very long, and I think this was the longest Screen Actors Guild strike ever. We will talk about both of those later on. We're kind of this is the premiere, so traditionally we just kind of go through a lot of the things in the world of entertainment. We're going to talk some MCU. We're going to talk some book stuff. As a matter of fact, my next episode, so season 8, episode 2, we're going to have Lauren back on from Coffee and Lore, and we're going to have a very interesting episode. We're actually going to be talking about fan fiction.
Oh.
She has actually written some very popular fan fiction.
Oh, really?
And we were talking about it, and she was like, I want to talk about this on my channel, but I really don't want to, like, self-promote it. And I was like, okay, well, then you come on my show, and I interview you about it, and then we post it both places. That's how this works.
Yeah. Also, Lauren, nothing wrong with self-promoting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so she's going to send me some links to some of the fan fiction. There's some Star Wars stuff in there. There's some Fourth Wing stuff in there. Don't get on Book Talk. Just don't do it. We are enemies, Book Talk and I. Nothing against people that like that stuff, but we are mortal enemies, I believe.
Oh, there's some beef there.
There is. I don't want to go into it.
Okay, fair.
But yeah, we're going to talk about some things. We're going to talk about some book stuff. We're going to talk about some MCU stuff. Your bread and butter. Don't you love it? You sounded so depressed in the Miss Marvel review.
You're not the first person to tell me that.
Or not Miss Marvel, but the Marvel's review.
Yeah, you're not the first one to tell me that.
Yeah, that's the most downtrodden I've ever heard. I'm sure it was a combination of you hated the movie, it was late, and you were by yourself.
Yeah, it was just like the perfect holy trifecta of, yeah.
You couldn't get the homie Brendan?
Couldn't it? You know that something's up when I can't even get Brendan. You know?
You're right, okay. Yeah, I mean, when I bowed out, I just assumed, and I won't go into it here, but I was on a trip, and I would have much rather been at the Marvel's premiere with you. As a matter of fact, I would have rather the trip that I went on was so horrible. I would have rather gone to the Marvel's premiere with you at like 4 p.m. and watched it at 7, 9, 11:30. You know,
I only saw a few details from the trip, but yeah, sounds like some things didn't quite went a little bit awry, maybe. Yeah.
It was hellacious.
Oh.
I will never return to that site again.
Oh.
Yeah. So, it was a LARP, and it was a Google it. We don't have time. And kind of the main issue was that somebody in my party had a legitimate medical issue that we had kind of cleared the accommodations for with the staff, and then when we got there, they kind of acted like it was a huge inconvenience to them, and they were not prepared. And that to me is like the ultimate, like, you can fuck off, from there. And then that on top of that, it was like freezing and raining.
Oh.
And then there was also some vehicle trouble along the way that didn't help any of that shit. So just a good old fun time, good old vacation.
Yeah, you had the old school Chevy Chase adventure.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some video games, man.
Oh, yes.
This is the year.
Yeah.
I can't recall another year. I mean, 97, the last time we had this kind of competition for video games. I mean, that would have been FF7.
Right.
That would have been Ocarina.
Yeah. That was 97.
That would have been Metal Gear Solid.
Yep.
So
that was a great year. I and not to go ahead and derail us, but I think a hot take of mine is I still think that for me 2018 was a stronger year than this year. And and the only reason for that is because there were a lot of really good games with a lot of good potential, but I don't feel like a lot of them lived up to what that potential was. But you go back to 2018, and it's like there was over half a dozen games that exceeded expectations.
I can't put 2018 on the level with this year, but we will talk about this more for sure.
Yeah.
That being said, man, let's get into it. So my item from the shelves this week, it will soon be joining its brethren here behind us. But the item this week, there's a lot of red in the frame. This is the Sunlit Man. If you know anything about the Sanderson Secret Projects, then you'll know that this is the last one to come out for the year of Sanderson. And if you don't know anything about that, then I'm guessing this is your first time watching this show. Anyway, Brandon Sanderson broke the Kickstarter record with 4 new novels that we knew nothing about other than the fact that he wrote them. And this is the last one. I will be doing a full review of this as soon as someone other than me reads it. So, okay.
Have you finished it?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. I could not do anything else. So, okay. I love you. Please finish this. Please read this so we can review it. Or you know what? If Lauren beats you to it, she can have the spot. So
it's a race.
Whichever one of you wants to do it first, or you could both read it and we could all review it. So Lauren and Kay, aka the Crochet Fairy, they actually recently did a review for this entity right here for Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, and it was tremendous. So check that out. They actually live streamed it.
Oh, wow!
And I was like, yeah, man, me and Ace, we say too many dirty words to be live streaming.
Yeah,
we only did that one live thing.
That's a dangerous gamble.
Yeah, it is. So this is the Sunlit Man. Like I said, full review coming, but I finished this and I love it and it's beautiful. And I'll put some shots in the video. I'm gonna set it down though because it'll otherwise be fucking about all night. But I really love that they dyed the pages black. That just it just pops.
It does.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a handsome looking book.
Speaking of the Cosmere, and this is like the latest. Like you have to have read everything there is to be able to get this. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. One of the beginnings, and you actually have recently started to read through Mistborn.
Yes, I have. And the crazy thing about it is, I just decided one day, you know what? I need other things to read in my life, and so I just out of the blue decided, let me try this book called Mistborn. There was definitely no outside influences. There
magically,
was,
you just saw it on the shelf.
Yeah. This is perfect.
Looked it up on Goodreads.
Yep.
Saw it had good reviews.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and but at the behest of Caleb and others, yes, I have recently started the read of Mistborn, and man, I gotta say, it has been a thoroughly good read so far. And like the thing about it with me is, like the way that it started, I was actually, I was in the studio and I was just like finishing up like some tedious work for the podcast, and so I was just sitting there, and I had the laptop open still, and Mistborn was over to my left, and I just kind of like, I need to start this sometime, and so I grabbed it, and I had to go do something, but I was like, I just wanted to kind of grab it and like get a glimpse of like the first pages, or just to see how it read.
Yeah.
And then before I knew it, I was running late, which is kind of not completely uncommon, but still. No, I thought that this was an extremely interesting premise, and I really like that the pacing of this book is, I think, is generous.
Yeah.
Like I really dig that, because the prologue for that really sets things off. In a crazy kind of way. And I'm at the point now where it's like I had to stop. I'm only I think about 4 chapters in, but I had to stop reading the other night just because it was late, and I had a early day the next day. But man, it left me with so many questions now that I'm sure going to be answered. Like the fuck is up with those Steel Watchers?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, those
the Steel Inquisitors.
Inquisitors. Those things sound terrifying. And I also love how or Sanderson is really kind of giving me a glimpse into how, I don't know if I want to call it magic, but the sense of powers or abilities in this world.
Right.
Like I really dig how his method of expositing isn't the typical way of breaking you from the story and then explaining things and then taking you back to the story, whereas he kind of interweaves the two.
Right.
And I think that's like the perfect way to do it.
It always, I won't say 100%, because some of the concepts that he introduces, like there is literally a part in Yumi where the narrator stops the story and goes, okay, I know what you're thinking. This is bonkers. Let me explain. And there's literally like 4 pages of just the narrator going, let me fucking explain.
Right.
And it just wouldn't have worked in any other sense. Like if I had read that in any other book, it would have been nonsense. But it actually works.
Yeah.
In the context, which is crazy. But yeah, I love when he's able to weave it in, and like it actually feels like people sitting down and talking. He's very good at that, and also making you want to know more about the magic system.
Oh yeah,
too,
for sure.
And the way that the characters discuss it, it's just a thing that exists to them, and it's not this super fantastical thing. As a matter of fact, they don't really consider it magic. It's just a thing that exists in their world, whereas to us, it's magic.
Right.
But I am glad that it's hooking you. The reason that I tell people to start there is because I feel like as a protagonist, Vin is very easy to just like. She's just a very likable character. And then Kelsier as well kind of has that intrigue and kind of mystique to him where it's like you want to know more and more about. He's got the charismatic aspect. So I feel like everybody that I know can relate to one or both of those characters, and then kind of seeing them go on this kind of journey in this really like crazy, like fantastical world. It's a very easy, I think, introduction point.
Oh yeah,
for people. So
yeah, and again, not to go back too deep into it, but seeing or reading Van's arc there in the beginning, again, you get a good understanding of where she is, things about her brother no longer in the picture. She's kind of in a bind now, owes a debt, to her brother. You know, I mean, and so like, the whole thing I think was super intriguing for me. And then what I really dig in like any kind of story, like whether it be, it doesn't really matter what setting it is, but I love a type of any kind of heist esque activity. And the reason why I dig those so much and like my fiction is because I know that there's a point where like it's got to go wrong,
Right.
And what's going to be the result of that? How are you going to bounce back from that? Because how you do that, you know, tells me how much confidence you have in your characters, you know. And but seeing like the resolution for that was very anxiety ridden, you know, because it's like, yeah, Vin feels uncomfortable about this. I'm like, yeah, so do I. Like this, I don't see this going well, you know.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
me too. And I think that's it's very interesting to have the main protagonist also be the audience surrogate, and I really feel like Vin is that because
Right.
she's being introduced to this world, and you know, so are you.
Yeah.
And she's finding out all the same shit with you. And I would say that it kind of goes that way really throughout the first trilogy, where there's just there's things that she doesn't know that we as the reader also don't know, and we find out things about their worlds with her, and that's like a major kind of element of the plot. So
Yeah.
but yeah, man, we are going to fully review this when you get
Yes.
done with it, and I'm
Yes,
so
yes,
hyped,
yes.
and I'm actually going to read back through it. So, that being said, we're going to move on to and talk about some MCU stuff. We mentioned earlier that you recently reviewed the Marvels. We normally would have been seeing that together, but we couldn't because
Right.
of the hell trip I described. I did go see it this past Tuesday. I listened to your review of it, and I encourage anybody at home to do that. Maybe not start with that. Like if you never if you never listened to Superhero Homies at all, maybe don't start with that. Yeah, I mean, go and listen to our Infinity War review, and then listen to that one.
I think that's maybe a worse idea.
Yeah,
Because it's such a drop off in like, I don't know, excitement,
I just want to prove
enthusiasm.
to people that at one point we were so hopeful and just enamored with it, right? You know?
I specifically remember when we were talking about at the end of our Endgame review, which was I guess almost 5 years ago now. We were talking about things to come, like what we expect to see, and and I mean we were off the mark. But man, I wish things had maybe gone more differently.
Well, I
Put it
mean,
lightly.
to be fair, we did get some positive things that we didn't call
yeah.
too.
That we did.
It's just been way more negative.
I think for me, like with the Marvels, like my one of my main takeaways was, man, this movie to me, it did have potential to be something that could have actually been really fun had they had the courage or the creativity to stick with it.
Yeah.
And you know, and that is, and it would have required a lot more creative writing, you know. But you know, you look at the premise of that movie, and every time one of them uses their powers, they would just trade places with the other. With it being three of them, things can get really hectic really quickly. And I was like, man, okay, so yeah, I can see what Nia DaCosta, the director, meant when she said this is going to be like another really fun kind of, you know, zany movie. And I'm like, that's the last thing we need right now, again, in the MCU. But you know what, whatever. Make it the best fun, wacky movie you can then. But unfortunately, I feel like they just really never really got to that point. You know,
Right.
like they were on to something in that first act, and then I don't know, they just it lost steam for me, and it just could never recover.
I did not dislike it as much as you did.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely didn't like it or love it. I liked aspects of it. I liked Kamala. I mean, I even the harshest critics have admitted that she steals the show. I mean, she's the
Yes, I have admitted that.
yeah. And the thing is, like, I really hope, I would love to see her in like an Avengers movie as like the who brought this kid, kind of doing like what they had Peter Parker doing in Civil War. You know what I mean? I think she would be great in that role, and maybe see her with some better writing and a more established cast alongside her. I would love to see more of Spectrum. I don't know why they didn't. Here's the thing. We said it 2 years ago that Rogue should have been a villain in this movie.
Yeah.
You automatically get people in the seats.
Yep.
Off of that. Now, the premise of this, and I'm not going to go into any deep spoilers here, but the premise of the movie where it's like, okay, Carol destroyed the Supreme Intelligence, the Kree went into a civil war, and now their planet is dying. This is like several Star Trek plots. It's not original, but it's not like beaten to death where it's tropey either. I totally could be behind, a plot like that. But the problem is, at one point in the movie, the protagonists kind of bring out a whiteboard and they're like, hey, we have a plan to save your planet. It will work. This is what we're going to do. And then the villain is still like, no, fuck you, because the plot needs me to be like, no, fuck you.
Yeah.
And that's about the point where I was like, it made no sense. The plot is nonsensical, right? Like things just kind of happen. And I'm like, but I can live with that. I can turn my brain off and just melt into the seat and oh, look, the cats are eating the crew. Ha, 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 ha. I can do that.
Yeah.
But, like, that was the moment where I was like, all right, well, I can't.
I guess for me, and again, like, no major spoilers, but it was like the resolution. I'm like, so y'all just could have did this the whole time.
Right.
Huh?
Yeah.
There was nothing stopping this from happening at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, or any time in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
While these people kill each other and suffer and die. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what it comes down to is, like, Carol Danvers is just a shitty hero. Yeah. We've talked about this at length, so I don't want to spend an hour or anything on it.
Sure.
But what does the MCU have to do now?
They have to, okay, this is good for next year, that is. 2024, I think they only have one big movie coming out.
Is that Deadpool?
That is Deadpool 3.
And here's the thing. Like Guardians, that's a banger, a surefire thing.
Yep. This will be, I mean, it's not even a hot take to say that this movie's going to make $1 billion. It is.
Oh, absolutely.
It's gonna beat The Joker and become the highest rated or the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time, I think.
Yeah.
And I mean, they got all the ingredients already. We haven't seen a trailer. They've only released like 2 still images, you know what I mean, of Hugh and
they'll never do it, but I would love it if they wouldn't release a fucking trailer.
That would be great, right?
Like, just have, if you want to play a commercial or a trailer or whatever, literally just have it be like Ryan Reynolds in his living room.
Yeah.
Like, talking shit about Hugh Jackman or whatever.
Right.
Don't have the trailers be anything from the movie at all.
Or just have Ryan Reynolds horribly describe the events in the trailer. Yeah. And but that's all we get, you know. Yeah.
I would love that, but like they'll never do that.
I know. But the good thing is about that is it's going to make these MCU events feel special again. And I think that's something that's been lost, you know. So between getting however many TV shows and, 3 movies a year, and I mean, it watered down the brand. And on top of that, the quality has been diminished. Whereas, we always say this, you go back to any time after, I mean, even during phase 1, phase 2, and 3, 2014, you got Guardians 1 and you got Winter Soldier. That was it. They felt special, and how amazing were they? So they were super events, and I think that was something that was really good for the brand. So having just 1 or 2 things come out next year, I think will be really good for the brand, especially since one of those things is a certified banger already.
Yeah, I think I think I agree with you. It's an easy billion. I mean, it doesn't matter how much damage they've done to the brand.
Yeah.
Millions of people have been waiting to see Deadpool and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine on screen. I mean, the first two movies are basically posters for this. And we also know that Ryan Reynolds isn't going to let it suck. You know? Like, he absolutely is just not going to allow it to come out. He's not going to let them fuck on his movie. And Hugh Jackman is probably getting the fucking red carpet treatment as he should, because the rumor that him and
Toby
and Toby are going to be like the fucking like leads for Secret Wars. I don't necessarily agree with that decision, but it would absolutely put asses in seats, mine included.
And so I want to ask you this, because I remember seeing that too. That's got to be like a direct result of them trying to do some type of damage control at this point,
right.
You know.
Well, it's the WCW problem, right? That's a wrestling reference for those of you who may not be in that particular corridor. But the problem is, like, you keep going back to the well, right? Where it's like, well, everybody loves Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and it's like, okay, well, let's just throw a bunch of shit at a wall and see what sticks. Okay, Shang-Chi, okay, that did okay. All right, well, She-Hulk. All right, well, that didn't work at all. First script of Daredevil didn't work. The Eternals, shouldn't even make it to the wall, like, to be able to even think about sticking. It's just like, it feels like they're doing all this stuff, and it's like, on the short term, can they focus an Avengers movie around bringing in all these different things, the X-Men, which, spoilers are out there for things. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
But, and the best version of a certain X-Men, who happens to be my favorite, doing things like that, like kind of that multiverse of madness thing where it's just like, here's a bunch of pointless cameos and things that fans really wanted,
right.
The John Krasinski, cameo and all that. Will it pop the audience? Will it make those viral clips of people yelling in the theater and things that we all love about Marvel, and people like applauding and stuff? Will it make those things? Yes. But what is the long-term legs of this franchise? Because, I'm looking at, okay, in 10 years, who are you going to have?
Right.
Are you going to keep going back to the well with the Hulk? I mean, about the only thing for them to do is like World Breaker or Maestro, right? And I don't see them ever doing Maestro.
Yeah. I mean, that would be fun if, like, they really want to have a credible threat for She-Hulk.
A credible threat? You lucky we don't have the buttons.
Son of a bitch. And I mean, and that's if they want to take that character more seriously as well. You know what I mean?
Right.
But in terms of, like, who are they going to have 10 years from now? That's the great question. And
is it going to be Shang-Chi and Kamala chilling? Like, that's the Avengers 7.
I mean, if they want to do like a duo movie, I think that'll be fun.
Avengers 7, the only people we have left. Right. Well, Charlie Cox.
Oh, Charlie Cox, yeah.
If they don't bury him.
Right, yeah.
But even he is I mean, as much as I think, like, yes, we need Daredevil in the MCU everywhere. Like, put him everywhere he's willing to go.
Yeah.
But even that, to a degree, is going back to the well. It's a well we want him to go back to.
Yeah.
But how many times can they do that,
And you're right, they can't. And I think that's really where they where they kind of drop the ball at. And I think part of it is hubris, and part of it is them legitimately not understanding these properties sometimes, right? So the hubris comes from, oh, well, look at what we've done. You know what I mean? We've created literally the biggest empire in Hollywood movie cinema history. There's never been anything like this before. And so we can do whatever with whatever property and people will eat this up. But the other part of that is, they look at the fact that they started with the scraps, the leftovers, what the other studios didn't want, the Iron Mans, the Caps and Thors and so forth.
And then they made a multi-billion-dollar franchise that has a fucking tree and a raccoon in it.
Right.
So it's not like they need, Wolverine,
right,
to make the magic happen.
Yeah. But the difference though is that you look at Iron Man 1. I mean, I think it's fair to compare any MCU movie to that because that's what started it.
Right.
And look at how much they understood and crafted the character over the course of not just one movie, but that entire first three, sagas. Like they really understood the character of Tony Stark. And, I was thinking about it just the other day. And I was like, man, if they made Iron Man 1 today, would they be willing to do the, alcoholic, womanizing, charismatic asshole character who has this really subtle and understandable redemption arc? You know what I mean? Like, would they be willing to do that today, or would it be something else entirely? And I think that that's another kind of small issue is that they. In some regards, they seem too gun shy to pull the trigger on certain characters, and they don't want to let the characters be what makes them so cool.
If they made it today, it would be like instead of his parents dying, they abandoned him somewhere, and so he built a robotic butler to take care of him.
Jesus. Yeah, that's the darkest timeline, Tony Stark, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really not. That's Iron Man 3, Tony Stark.
Like I said, that's the darkest timeline.
Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and go, because millions of pundits have gone, if this doesn't work, the MCU is doomed. If this doesn't work, the MCU is doomed. I've said it for years now. If they come out with an Avengers movie that tanks, and I don't mean like we don't like it, I mean like it doesn't make money.
Yeah.
Then that's it. That is the Disney will stop giving them money.
Yeah. Well, so here what I think is the litmus test for that, right? So they can announce, Avengers and have the cool font and then the whatever they decide to stick with for the sub name or the subtitle. And but the first question that the casual audience is going to ask is, "Oh man, another Avengers movie. Who's going to be in it?"
Right.
And again, we're back to square one. So again, Toby and Hugh, yeah, you know what? You want to get asses in seats? Yeah, I'll be there regardless, but I'll definitely be there for those two.
And here's the thing is, I don't want to talk about what would be the downfall or the gloom and doom, because obviously, the real answer is if they stop making money, But because ultimately it's a business thing, right? As far as whether the MCU will continue, because as long as they're in, not in the red, they're gonna continue to do this shit.
Oh yeah, look at Sony.
Right. I mean, they're in the red and they're still making that shit. They just came out with Madam Web, and I'm like, I don't know who the fuck this is for, but it ain't me or anybody else that I know. But here's where I think the MCU could really knock it out of the park, and this would be something that would, I think, really put some wind in their sails, is if they nail Fantastic Four, because it's never been done.
Yeah.
And that leads me to our next item, which is the official casting of Pedro Pascal for Mr. Fantastic. I will say right off the rip, at no point in this film do I want him to have to guard a magical child.
He's got 2 kids, and they're both quite magical.
I don't want that at all.
Yeah. So I had 2 thoughts, right? My first thought was shock and awe. And then my immediate second thought was, no, I should have seen this.
I mean, obviously they have him locked in for the long haul.
Yeah.
And he is in the same vein as a Robert Downey Jr. from he's a draw and people will come to see him.
Yep.
So I get that. I'm one of them. I mean, a trailer for a random ass movie I don't know anything about could play and be like, oh, starring Pedro Pascal. I'd be like, oh, I want to see that. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a good move, but whether it sticks or the landing or not comes down to exactly what you're talking about. Do they understand Reed Richards as a character?
Yeah.
Are they going to make Pedro Pascal the character like they did in Iron Man 3 with RDJ the movie?
Right.
Or are they going to make Reed Richards and let Pedro Pascal paint that with his paintbrush, which is obviously the way to go.
Yeah.
That's the way Iron Man 1 and 2 went. Hell, Chris Evans is damn near typecast now. I mean, he has to go out of his way to play like shady, shitty people in films now because he is Captain America to everyone.
Yeah. I always assumed that when he did Knives Out, he did that just to show people, hey, I can still be a douchebag, you know.
And it was great.
Yeah. But with Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, I think that is the smart move for Disney because it's the safe move.
Yeah.
Because his stock is sky high.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you said earlier. He is kind of comparable to like an RDJ in that regard, where people will come out to see what he's doing.
He's one of the few movie stars with that kind of repertoire these days.
Yeah, and I forget who was talking about it, but you know, someone made the notion that there's not a whole lot of traditional movie stars anymore.
It was Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, it was Anthony Mackie. Yeah, that's right. And I was like, that's a good point, you know. But he is one of them, I think. People like him.
Yeah, I mean, I think modern day you have Keanu.
You got Keanu. You got you got the holdovers kind. You got Tom Cruise. You know, you got the Rock.
Well, but can you still? I mean, I know that Mission Impossible is still a draw, but I don't know if you can still just throw Tom Cruise in some shit and it make money.
Maybe not. I mean, but what is he? I'm trying to think like what. I mean, Edge of Tomorrow, I guess was.
I really like that movie.
Oh, yeah, but I don't know. I don't remember what it did box office wise.
Yeah, it probably made money, but I don't know if it was like a lot. But I mean,
Will Smith was. I don't know if he. Yeah,
but I mean, you know, on the other side of that argument, playing devil's advocate here, we just had fucking Top Gun Maverick. Yeah, I mean, and that like. You know, you had all these studios lowering their expectations. The era of the $1 billion box office is over, and then Maverick had this like fucking 28-week fucking Avatar 1 tear where they were just pounding the pavement.
Right.
You know, and like that whole idea of like, you know, the cinema is dead. It's been so disproven. It's like the cinema isn't dead. You guys fucking cannibalized it with your goddamn streaming services. Right. Taylor Swift and AMC, you know, whether you like her music or not.
Just made a shit ton of money.
Her and AMC. Yeah. AMC made a shit ton of, like, she made way more than them, but they didn't have to do anything.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, fuck yeah, we'll put your, we'll do this for you. You know, we'll distribute your film. I think they got like 4% or something for signing a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And doing what they already do every day. They just, I mean, that movie made fucking bank. And here's the thing. That's a direct message to Hollywood. Like, if you guys aren't going to use these theaters, then someone else will. Those spaces are incredibly valuable. And I think they're starting to realize that, like, hey, if you guys aren't going to use these, we will. You're seeing a lot more like the AEW pay-per-views being shown in theaters, certain TV shows like big events and things like that. I think people, for the most part, I think they enjoy going to the theater. And I just think that, you know, that's an excuse for Hollywood. It's a combo of, hey, you know, we try to put everything on streaming and fuck everybody over.
Yep.
And then the lack of originality or quality content that's coming out into those theaters.
Yeah, and what it always comes down to is like them walking the tightrope with like the balance pole in their hand.
Yeah.
And they always lean too far in the wrong direction, you know what I mean? So they always lean too far into so the balance in that is like creativity versus business.
Right.
And they always lean towards the business way too far and then they topple over. and then they lose complete sight of the creativity aspect of it.
I mean, you look at a movie like the Barbie movie, and the Barbenheimer phenomenon, right? With you have a biopic making nearly $1 billion,
which is ridiculous.
You have a movie about a Mattel toy making over $1 billion,
right?
And cleaning house. And like, have you seen the movie? Have you seen it?
No.
So like, the movie's clearly not made for me, right? But I really appreciated the approach. Like, even if you go see the movie and hate it, you're not going to go, I've seen this before. It's just the movie is structured in a way that's kind of zany, kind of odd. Like people can go on this road that leads them to Toyland or whatever. Like, it's just it's very much a like just don't think about it Morty type thing. But like, it's done that way on purpose. You know what I mean? And
right.
It's very kind of fever dream kind of. You just it's not. Nobody sat down and went, we're going to do Act 1. We have to hit all these bullet points, cookie cutter bullshit,
And I mean, I haven't said anything negative about Barbie, obviously, because I haven't seen it. And so that was never on like my list of things to do was, I need to shit on Barbie. And, but one thing that I could never do is show it, not just because I haven't seen it, but because shit made over $1 billion, dog.
Yeah. Like, I mean, does it have some heavy-handed messaging in it? Yes. And Will Ferrell is in it, so that's like that's a minus for me automatically. And he was terrible in it.
Oh, he's Barbie, huh? Okay.
I mean, that might have been better, but and like, but there are some really subtle, like, clever jabs in there. Like, they take her out of the box, and like the entire Mattel board is all like old white men. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah.
And like you're like, well, it fucking is. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? So, it's kind of like how for many years, like most of the leading makeup companies those were male led.
Yeah.
It's like the products were just being marketed to people, not by anyone who has any interest in them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but to kind of go back to it, like I think that if they nail Fantastic Four, that buys them a lot of leeway. Because then they can center, that can be their new Cap and Iron Man, as they can center the the future phases around them. And then you can bring in a Doctor Doom, you can bring in a Magneto, you can bring in an Xavier, and with the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, they could easily do a whole saga of 3 phases. Them.
I remember like this was right after Endgame, so just barely post Endgame. I was saying like with the X-Men, honestly, they can do a movie with a mutant here, maybe a couple of there, that leads into an X-Men movie and build it up like you did the Avengers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it doesn't have to be something where like they've always just been. You could build up to that if you so chose. What do you think about the rumors of Galactus and Silver Surfer being the focal antagonists in the Fantastic Four movies?
I heard that the dad from Little Mermaid was a likely casting for Galactus. Apparently, so what I and take this with a grain of salt because it's not confirmed, but I heard that Kevin Feige said that the movie was too white, and that is why they recast Galactus and they went with Pedro Pascal for Mr. Fantastic. That could just be the internet being full of shit.
Yeah. Ben Grimm is orange, he's a rock.
Have you heard the rumor that Joseph Quinn is going to be Johnny Storm?
I have heard that rumor.
I think that's a fucking amazing choice from a business and a creativity standpoint.
Yeah,
because his following.
Oh yeah,
I mean
his following is huge, and that would be a great choice.
Yeah,
like and that would be great for all parties.
I mean, he could just show up as fucking Eddie Munson, basically.
He could,
and that's not too far off,
right? See, I hope it's true, but I have to take that with a grain of salt because this was also around the same times that they were promoting rumors that Ben Grimm was gonna be a woman, And I was like, that image is hilarious in my mind. And I'm like, I wouldn't be able to take the movie or Benny Grimm that serious just because it would be a hilarious image.
Yeah.
But I hope that is true though, because he'd be phenomenal as that. But I kind of feel like it's another John Krasinski's kind of how I feel about it, where like people want to will that into existence,
Right.
but hopefully we do.
Yeah. I don't know about Galactus Silver Surfer for the first movie.
I know it sounds like a lot for the first movie.
Yeah. Maybe they're trying to get Galactus into the picture before Secret Wars. Because obviously, like, from the way that they've kind of presented X-Men as like they're another universe, right?
Yeah.
Alternate universe, and they used Kelsey Grammer. It kind of looks like that's how they're going to bring them in is like have like their universes and incursion into ours.
Yeah.
And maybe Fantastic Four is going to be the same deal, you know.
Yeah. And I could see that, and maybe that is the safe bet to go, like already have an established Fantastic Four,
right?
You know,
maybe don't do another origin.
Yeah. I mean, the first one we got it was an origin, and the second one, that 2015 origin we got was, ooh.
I mean, the best Fantastic Four movie is the first one from like 2004 or whatever, and oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best we got for the Fantastic Four. Yeah.
Yeah. What was the other property? Was it Ninja Turtles where we were like, this is still the best Ninja Turtles movie, like the original one or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
Was it that?
It might have been. It was, what was it? I forget. But
it was bad.
Yeah.
But I do think, I don't think that fucking up Fantastic Four is the death knell, but I think getting it right is probably the best thing they can do for their credit. Yeah, because I don't know. I mean, I don't see any of the characters from the Thunderbolts being big time other than maybe Yelena.
Yeah, I mean, Bucky's in that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
you can always keep using him.
Yeah,
you can always keep using Yelena.
I
think
they're the two stars of that, really.
Yeah.
I don't know what they do with John Walker. They have to kill off one of them. He might be the one. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think Harrison Ford is going to come back and play Thunderbolt Ross for very long. I mean, it's probably going to be one movie. I'm assuming they're going to do Red Hulk and he's going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but they need to scrap this Young Avengers shit though, hard, because I love Kamala and I like Kate.
Oh yeah. They got the two that I don't mind seeing again.
Yeah,
you know?
But that's it. That's the list. If you want to bring back any of the other Cassie Langs, I'd be down for that. But like not the one we have.
Yeah, not the one we just got. Yeah.
Because she's not. I mean, she's not awful.
Yeah,
but she's like the other ones all did a great job, and she was terrible. I mean, she wasn't terrible, but she was mid at best.
Yeah,
a lot of that could be the writing too. I mean,
I do put a lot of that on the writing.
The writing in that movie was dog shit.
I mean, so like there were like we've actually gotten at least brief cameos of like other members of the Young Avengers. Like we've gotten Eli Bradley. He was in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I remember the old black man who was the original.
Yeah, it was the kid.
Yeah, the kid. Yeah, so he was part of the Young Avengers. Season 1 of Loki, we saw Kid Loki. I mean, the one they're obviously missing the most though would be Iron Lad, who is a variant of Kang the Conqueror, and by the sounds of it, we ain't getting no more Kang. So.
I don't know, man. I feel like if they really, truly were going to drop Jonathan Majors, they would have done it already.
Yeah.
You know? Because, like, they cut, Justin Roiland got cut loose on not even a third of that shit.
Yeah.
And he was proven innocent in a court of law. Like,
And still ain't got his
damn job back, or none of his video games or anything. Yeah, but I think that is actually a great segue into talking about some video games. But you know, I really do think that, you know, whether they go with Kang or not, I mean, obviously they're getting close to where they have to wrap it up with him anyway, right? Like Kang Dynasty, obviously they're gonna.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be the deal, and then it's going to lead into Secret Wars somehow.
So let's say that they do stick with Kang. One more thing before we move on, but let's say they do stick with Kang. Has he done much for you?
No, he's fucking ruined. I mean, in Ant-Man.
Yeah.
He lost a fist fight to fucking Scott Lang with no suit. Like, and that was supposed to be like the dangerous one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's the one that all the other Kings were afraid of, you know?
Yeah, I really loved his initial performance in the season finale of Loki. The He Who Remains thing. I don't know how big of a part he has in season 2. We are about to start watching that and review it. I've heard great things about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, what else has he fucking done? I mean, they're not. I mean, if Kang Dynasty came out tomorrow, there's no build. Why would you spend all this time doing all this footwork to not do any?
Yeah.
You know, and that's another thing is like the continuity just doesn't feel like it's there anymore. You know, there's little nods and winks, but like, you know, and this is a spoiler for the Marvels, but the Valkyrie cameo didn't do shit for me.
It didn't.
Well, at least have her show up in the armor. You know
yeah, like
was Tessa Thompson even on set for this shit?
You know, I'm like, do we need to constantly get business suit Valkyrie? Like, I don't know. Like, I would have preferred to see her in the battle armor. And I mean, like, I understand the perceived value of bringing her in, but they just kind of also introduced another plot hole. Like, man, so she just could have. She could have solved this other problem.
Yeah, she can just teleport people away. Yeah. She solved galactic immigration with the Bifrost.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's probably enough about the MCU. I think at this point, people are going to start to get sick of hearing about it. You know.
They need a banger movie.
Yeah, because here's the thing: is the MCU has been at the top of the zeitgeist bubble for many years, and it is not hard to fall off of that. Especially because here's one more thing I'll bring up before we move on: the clock is ticking, my friend.
Yeah,
their star fucking player is now on the other team, and when James Gunn's shit pops off,
2025 should be like that's. That's kind of like it's like the soft reset for the MCU to get their shit straight, and it's the beginning of the DCU. 2025, and so I mean, at least for us, it'll be exciting to see what they do.
Because like that's kind of the thing that you have to rely on. It's like, I mean, Marvel's only coming out with like one banger every 2 years now, but that's still fucking better than what DC is doing.
Oh, yeah.
DC's releasing Blue Beetle, and I fucking love the Marvels way more than I like that fucking movie.
Yeah, they're both kind of...
I had moments of genuine joy during the Marvels, even though they were moments, and Blue Beetle was just... What time is it? You know, like that. You know, I checked my phone so many times during Blue Beetle to see what time it was.
There were no. I was proud of myself in the Marvels. I started to leave during that goddamn Disney singing.
See, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I was like, "What in the fuck
really
is going on?"
Because to me, it was like it was basically them, like, kind of poking fun at themselves, like they, like not taking it too seriously, and I actually liked that. Because obviously it was played for laughs, but
I wish it had been funny or served the purpose or.
That's the most I've ever seen Brie Larson fucking act.
God damn.
Am I wrong?
It's not a tall order, sir.
It's not. No. It's like this is the best Sebastian Stan voice work ever. Let's move on.
What if season 2? But yeah.
Yeah, that is coming. That is coming. I have not seen the trailer yet, though.
Me either. So.
We'll talk about that on your show.
Oh, yes.
Got to leave you something for coming news.
That's right.
Let's talk about some video games, man. What a fucking year.
Oh, yeah.
You talked about 2018, either meeting or exceeding this year. So, before we go into 2023, that's what year it is, right?
Yes.
So here's the Game of the Year nominees for 2018. We had Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Easily the best Assassin's Creed game to me. We had the 2018 God of War, which won Game of the Year. Fucking incredible. Yeah. We had Celeste, which is an incredible game. We had the first Marvel Spider-Man. Monster Hunter World. You know what? Fuck it. I don't know. I have on a Spider-Man shirt. I don't know that game deserved to be on that list, but I get why it was there. And then we had Red Dead Redemption 2, which a lot of people were like, they were robbed. Though to me, like, I've played both games. I have over 100 hours on both games.
Same.
To me, God of War is the much better sit down and enjoy it and play it experience. If you're going just off of the world, then yeah, it's going to be Red Dead 2.
I thoroughly love both games.
Right.
I can't call it a robbery because in my mind, watching that game award, I was like, it's got to be one of the two.
Right. Yeah.
So I can't call it a robbery. I thought it was going to be Red Dead, but when God of War won, I didn't say, oh, well, this is this is ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm gonna say that 2023 wins against this because Celeste is there. Not that Celeste is not a good game. It's an amazing game. But almost every year at the Game Awards, the Game of the Year category, they always put like an indie game in the nominees.
Right.
There's no room for that this year. I would say this year there's like 10 games that could be in those top 6 spots. But there's only 6 spots.
Yeah.
I thought Sea of Stars was going to get that Celeste spot. Yeah. Because you've been playing that. Yeah. I mean, is it as good as people say?
I really enjoy it. Like the story isn't Chrono Trigger, which I think that disappointed a lot of people in terms of like its quality, but everything else is really really good about that game. Yeah.
Some other bangers that year that got nominated for things. A Way Out. I played that. That was a great game.
That was a great game.
I mean, a great game from EA, and that doesn't happen every decade. Detroit Become Human. I don't know that lived up to expectations.
I really enjoyed that game, but I enjoyed that company's game.
We had Octopath Traveler, which
that's when the first one came out.
Yeah, the second one is much better, but I enjoyed the first one because it was kind of your throwback kind of PS1 era RPG, which is really what got me in love with video games. Let's see what else we had that year. Forza Horizon 4, Black Ops 4. It's so hard to keep up with the fucking Call of Duty stuff. What else? Fortnite was nominated for some things. Beat Saber came out that year. I mean, that's still a huge game in the VR space. We had Dead Cells that year. Destiny 2 came out. Whatever you think about that shit. But it is dog shit, though. And it always has been. A lot of people that follow like that game, they'd be like, man, fucking Sony ruined this. They turned it into just a cash grab. And I was like, fam, it's been that from day fucking one. Like, like, when Activision let them leave with literally the only thing of value that they have, I was like, well, then it's not worth anything.
Right.
Like, they literally are just pulling you out of the toilet before you disappear into the void to avoid you clogging up their pipes.
Right.
If Activision, with some of the shit they have put out, is willing to cut bait with you, Sony is a bunch of fucking morons for for buying that, and they said they weren't going to lay anybody off too, and that was a huge controversy. They just slashed like 30% of their.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, because the last expansion that came out was dog shit apparently.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, like even with Destiny 1, they sold us a false bill of goods.
Yeah.
Like this whole this is gonna last for 10 years and it's gonna be this sprawling epic that we're gonna build upon. I believe Destiny 1 lasted about 3 years before they pulled the trigger on the sequel. And I mean, they're still doing things with it, if you want to call that living, but it's not thriving.
The thing about Destiny 2 for me, and I played the first one a bit, and I think by that point we were all sort of disillusioned with the concept of live service. And anyway, and like Anthem, despite being a fucking garbage piece of trash, the minute-to-minute gameplay was so much better than Destiny's.
Oh, yeah.
And Destiny was just like lowest common denominator, just nonsense. And then with Destiny 2, the power grind was so non-existent. Like it was one of the worst feeling games. I've played a lot of MMOs and things. You never feel any more powerful in Destiny 2. It's like you grind and grind and grind and grind, and you always feel like you're the same exact power level.
Right.
And that's awful. It just feels terrible.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like there's no reward. There's no dopamine hit. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, I got this new fancy piece of gear. It's 1% fancier than the last one I had, and it has no effect on my gameplay at all.
And I think that's why I quit Destiny 2 way faster than I quit the first one.
Same. Yeah.
It's because it got to a point where I realized, man, I'm doing all this fucking grinding just to see a number incrementally increase, like just to see that number go from 967 to 972. This is ridiculous. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
It's fucking, I mean, it was just a
and like I say, it would be different if it was a fun grind at least, but it wasn't even really that.
Yeah, I agree. This year, though, so we're going to kind of run down this year's Game Awards. I have like all the categories here.
Yeah, I see.
I didn't put any of the content creator or esports shit because honestly, I'm not qualified to talk about that because I could not care any less. I really detest like streamer culture, just as a whole. I don't like it. Not to say that there are not good streamers out there.
Yeah.
I just think like that kind of subculture they've created where it's like, oh, such and such streamers are playing this game, and like the game is good because we like watching people play it, even though the game is like dripless nonsense,
Right.
I don't know, but yeah, not my generation.
Same.
It is not beholden unto me to tell people what to like.
Right.
Just don't bring that shit to the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Because it's about good video games.
It's about good video games, yeah.
You guys can have the streamer awards. Or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
the fuck. Yeah. I mean, by all means, I wouldn't be even remotely mad about that.
Right.
I would be, just kind of indifferent like I am now. Game of the year.
Yes.
Okay. We have the nominees this year. Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4 Remake, and then we have Super Mario Brothers Wonder, and we have Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Now, I think easily on any other year, we get Sea of Stars in here, in that list. I think any other year, as much as I hate to say it, I think Starfield would have probably got a spot. It definitely wouldn't have won. But if you look at the history of it, like Fallout, Skyrim, I mean, Skyrim won.
Yeah.
But, like, a major Bethesda release is almost always guaranteed a spot there. Now, at least 3 of these games have to go away for it to even think about getting one. But I think if Starfield came out, like, next year, if they had actually spent another 6 months polishing it and it comes out next year, it easily has a spot,
Yeah.
I think I think any other year, Final Fantasy 16 gets a spot on that list. Maybe doesn't win, but I think it gets nominated. I don't agree with that shit, but I think it gets nominated.
Yeah. I honestly, I was kind of surprised that Diablo didn't get a spot.
I was just thinking that too. And that's the thing is, it's like, it's a top 10, like literally it's a year where you could have 10 nominees here.
Yeah.
Now, the Joystick Awards happened recently.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that?
Mm-hmm.
And Baldur's Gate 3 cleaned the fuck up.
Yeah.
Set the record, most awards. I'm going to go ahead and say this here so we don't have to reiterate it over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Anything here that Baldur's Gate 3 is nominated for, and I already voted, it should fucking win. The only exception is Best Performance. And while I think that Neil Newman, Astarian's, I don't want to say voice actor because they also do all the mocap. Tremendous. I think if he won, I would applaud the shit out of it. Like he won the Joystick Awards. I voted for Idris Elba for that category.
Phantom
Liberty, yeah.
Yeah.
For Cyberpunk.
Okay.
Because he really fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
But, Baldur's Gate 3 deserves every single thing that it's nominated for, in my opinion. And to me, like, I think I understand why they're there, but to me, if I was going to drop any game off of this Game of the Year nominees list, it's fucking Tears of the Kingdom. Because it's literally just fucking Breath of the Wild with building. And it is not like it's just not, you know what I mean? Like, show me the innovation, right? From a narrative perspective. Doesn't fucking have that. Your protagonist doesn't even have a voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not like you guys are doing anything clever with that. You never have. This is the same shit. It's always the same shit.
Yeah.
Show me the technical excellence. Okay, it's a Switch exclusive. It runs in fucking 720p most of the time. Get the fuck out of here. Show me the art direction. Do you think the art is better than Alan Wake 2 or Baldur's Gate 3 or, no, or even Super Mario Brothers Wonder,
So, the thing about like Zelda games, right, is I can't really judge those games because I don't really play them. The last Zelda game I played was Twilight Princess. That was like back in 2009.
Don't get me wrong. Back in the day, Ocarina was the shit.
Yeah.
It just was.
But just based off of what I've seen, I kind of forgot that game, Tears of the Kingdom, even came out this year.
Yeah. Well, it was the surefire, like, it's going to win Game of the Year. But now, I don't even consider it a dark horse. Like, now it's just like it's on there by decree. You know what I mean? That if a Zelda game comes out, it gets nominated.
When God of War Ragnarok lost to Elden Ring last year, I was like, okay, you know what?
It was bullshit.
Yeah. And I quelled my anger. Matter of fact, we were here.
Yeah, we were recording. We weren't recording an episode about the Game Awards.
No.
It was something unrelated.
Yeah, but the Game Awards was going
on that night, and we were like, motherfucker.
Yeah. This is a redundant ass question, but how would you feel if Baldur's Gate 3 didn't win?
Here's the thing. It's going to be Baldur's Gate 3 or Alan Wake 2. Hands down. Like, I don't think anything else has a shot.
I haven't played Alan Wake 2.
It absolutely should be Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
Because while I think I've seen some Alan Wake 2. I haven't played it myself. From what I hear, narratively, gameplay-wise, technical excellence, any other year, it's Game of the Year. Baldur's Gate 3 is the game of the fucking decade. It's the best game since 99, probably, or since 2000 when Baldur's Gate 2 came out, I think it's easily the best RPG since Mass Effect 2. it may be the greatest video game ever made. If Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't win Game of the Year, the whole thing is a fucking sham. And, like, it's so obvious. And, I mean, I think the fact that it cleaned up at the Joystick Awards like it did is indicative that it's going to clean up everywhere. Because that's usually how it goes. I mean, it's very rare that there's such a split. I remember the most obvious example of this was 97 when you had Ocarina and Metal Gear Solid. And they were neck and neck. It was like that; those were the two.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was Metal Gear Solid, but I understood what they were saying.
Yeah.
Really, what that came down to was PlayStation fanboys or N64 fanboys.
And yeah, it did kind of divulge into that.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have an N64, I had a PlayStation. I was like,
right.
I was a big fan of Metal Gear because that's what I had.
I mean, to look at what Baldur's Gate 3 is, you can't, you can't compete with it. You can't stand against it. It's redefining what a video game ought to be. It's like when we were kids and we were like, man, I can't imagine in like 10 years, like what are video games going to be like? And Baldur's Gate 3 is what we actually wanted from all that that growth in the technology. We wanted game developers to use algorithms to make our choices meaningful, not to fucking keep us glued to fucking nonsense content.
Yeah.
That's like other character generated. We didn't want fucking Fortnite. We wanted Baldur's Gate 3.
Right.
I don't think I just don't think you can compete with it. I think it's the Half-Life 2 of this era. I think it's redefined what an RPG is and what a video game is.
Yeah, so looking at the 6 contenders, I've played 3 of them. 2 of them I can't play because I ain't got no nothing to play it on, and I'm sure I'll pick up Alan Wake 2 sometime. But man, yeah, it's like it's not close.
No.
Like it just isn't close. And again, I thoroughly enjoyed Marvel Spider-Man 2. Check out my review on Superhero Homies. It's up now. And I also really, really love Resident Evil 4 remake. But like when it comes down to it, Baldur's Gate 3, it isn't just good for the type of game that it is. It just kind of it did redefine the genre, and as much as other publishers wish that people wouldn't say that is what it is. BG3 redefined the genre.
Yeah.
And you either have to embrace that or get out of the way, if you're these other developers.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it's simply just the most immersive and most innovative game that has come out this year, and you're right, it's not close.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I think we can skip Best Game Direction because it's the same fucking list minus Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
And it's Baldur's Gate 3.
Yep.
Now, Best Adaptation is an interesting category. Best Adaptation, so we have Castlevania Nocturne. We have Gran Turismo.
Right.
We have The Last of Us on HBO.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Super Mario Brothers movie. And then we have Twisted Metal.
Yep.
This is a tough category. It fucking ain't Twisted Metal. That's easy. But like,
no, I mean, I think it to me, there's only 2 contestants here. It's Last of Us and Super Mario Brothers.
I mean, to me, the clear winner. I mean, I think Last of Us is a clear winner. To me.
Yeah, but I can see them giving it to Super Mario Brothers
because it made all that fucking money.
Yeah.
And it spawned a universe. I mean, that's confirmed. I mean, they're already going to do a Zelda movie, and they're going to do all this. They're going to do a Smash Brothers universe. I from what I've seen of the Castlevania stuff, it's quite good. And I hear Gran Turismo wasn't bad either. I mean, that it was serviceable. I think that they're, other than Twisted Metal, I think they're all very worthy contenders. To me, it's Last of Us, hands down.
Yeah. I mean, no, that's also what gets my vote.
Yeah.
But
I could see it going to the Mario Brothers movie also. Especially if, they just get straight snubbed in Game of the Year and fucking Best Game Direction. They have to give Nintendo fucking something.
Yeah.
Best Narrative. To To me, once again, so our contenders here: Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty, Final Fantasy 16, and then Marvel Spider-Man 2. To me, this is, once again, no surprises. It's Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know that this one. I think out of all the categories though, where it's this kind of thing, I think this may be the tightest.
I think so too.
Because Spider-Man 2 has an incredible narrative.
It does.
I have not beaten it, but everything I've seen on it, I hear nothing but great things about Alan Wake 2. And while I may think Final Fantasy 16 is a pile of fucking dog shit, I can't really say that the narrative is not quite good. And Phantom Liberty, what I've played of it, they knocked it out of the park. I still think it goes to Baldur's Gate 3, but I just think it's closer than the other categories so far.
Yeah, I think that this one is. I think that so far this is definitely the closest of all the categories. Because that one could kind of go in any kind of direction. Slight, I'm gonna take us off path here a little bit. Have you played Control?
Yeah.
Have you beat it?
Yeah.
Is that connected to the Alan Wake universe?
I'm pretty sure it's just they're the same developer.
Okay. Thought I heard somewhere that someone said that they were in fact in the same.
Maybe they are.
Okay. Could be. I don't know. I played it. I never beat it though, but I didn't know if there's anything at the end that was like, oh shit, they're part of the same. Yeah.
I appreciate their technical mastery on their video games. Apparently, Alan Wake 2, like if you got a ball in PC, it will stretch it to the limit, and I always appreciate that kind of thing. But the game also has to be good, and Control was that. You know what I mean? Like Control was that game where it's like, this is a really fucking good game, and it will also murder your hardware. And so Alan Wake 2 is kind of that same thing. So, do you see Baldur's Gate 3 not taking that though for best narrative?
If there's any category that Baldur's Gate 3 is in that it doesn't take, this would be the one.
You think it goes to Cyberpunk maybe as like a thanks for fixing your game?
Hey, that would be a great consolation prize for Cyberpunk, you know. Man, I really want to play Alan Wake 2 just so I could see how that story stacks up. I played the first one and I thought it was fine. I wasn't, in love with it.
I mean, it and Baldur's Gate are tied for the most nominations.
Yeah, I see. So,
yeah. What's your call for this one?
For best narrative? Yeah. Oof. So for me, based off what I played, it's between Baldur's Gate 3 and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Insomniac, they just do a great job with those stories. I think I still lean slightly more towards Baldur's Gate. In my Spider-Man review, I just pointed out a few things that I kind of wish they didn't do, or things I wish they would have done differently.
Well, and there's no Mary Jane chapters in Baldur's Gate, so,
Yeah, there's zero Mary Jane chapters.
And that just ticks it right on over the edge. I mean, if you want to go based off the character, there's not any in the Amazing Spider-Man either.
God damn.
So, yeah.
Shit, dog. Yeah, I'm with you.
Best art direction. We finally have a category Baldur's Gate 3 is not nominated for. Alan Wake 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Lies of P, Mario Brothers Wonder, and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. This is going to kind of sound repetitive, but if Nintendo hasn't won anything by the time we get here, then they're taking that with Mario Brothers Wonder.
And I really like Hi-Fi Rush.
Me too.
But yeah, I think you're right. Like
either that or they just throw Microsoft something with Hi-Fi Rush. Because Microsoft ain't fucking gonna win anything else in here unless they win for the Forza.
Was Starfield nominated for anything?
Yeah, Starfield and Hogwarts Legacy have a total of one nomination between them.
Holy shit!
And it's Starfield's one best RPG.
God
damn. Do we want to talk about Hogwarts Legacy? All right, here's the thing. All right, okay. All right, we'll do this.
Mm-hmm.
This is what everyone wants anyway. Uh, here's the thing about Hogwarts Legacy. Regardless of what your opinions are of J.K. Rowling, and I've never made any bones about the fact that I think she is a disgusting creature. However, to the people who have said that Hogwarts Legacy was snubbed, I'm like, okay, let's take the J.K. Rowling controversial whatever out of it, regardless of how you feel about that. Fuck her. But regardless of how you feel about it, let's take it out entirely. And I've said, hey, you tell me what category you think that game this year should be in, and no one has had an answer for me. Because... And you know, the strongest argument I've heard is like, oh, it really fulfills like the Hogwarts fantasy. And I'm like, well, that ain't a fucking category on this page, son. Like, there is no, I mean, the ones we've talked about thus far, hell no, they don't deserve to be on there. It doesn't deserve to be in front of any of these games.
You know, I was looking at the best action adventures, like maybe they can squeeze it in there, but looking at that category, no, where you gonna go?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of Jedi Survivor, but it doesn't kick it off of that list, and definitely not any of the other stuff. All those other games are Game of the Year nominees.
Yeah, you can't squeeze it into Best RPG either.
No, that's the one thing that fucking Starfield got nominated for, and good fucking luck. Like, so the only two things can win that, right? It's Baldur's Gate 3 or Sea of Stars. Mm-hmm. Like, if they threw it to Sea of Stars as like a, hey, Baldur's Gate won everything else, here you go.
Yeah.
Coolsies. Love it.
But sorry, Sea of Stars. It needs to
be Baldur's Gate 3. And, like, Starfield is, I hate Final Fantasy 16. Starfield is the least deserving thing on that list. Yeah. I know we're jumping around here, folks, but...
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you know, we had to address the Hogwarts Legacy thing, and like people would be like, "It sold a fuck ton of copies." You know what? So did FIFA, and which of these, you know, Call of Duty sells a fuck ton of copies every year.
True.
I mean,
yeah,
it just, I get it if you.
It's a rough year. It's like you said, if it came out next year, I think we see it maybe all over the list.
Yeah, it sold a lot of copies. There's your reward, money.
And again, like I had fun with the game. I need to go back to it. You know, it's been a while, but I had fun with the game when I played it.
I pirated it, but I had fun with it.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, I put 25 hours into it, and then I felt the gameplay loop was kind of grating on me, and then I moved on to something else.
Yeah.
So you know that happens to me a lot, actually.
Same.
Best score in music. I mean, not to sound like a broken record here, but it's Baldur's Gate 3.
Now, from what I remember about at least Alan Wake 1, I really liked the score. It really did a great job of matching like the aesthetic of the game. I'm sure that Alan Wake 2 kind of does the same thing, but yeah, it's Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, easy.
You know.
The emotions that some of the music in that game elicit from you. Down to like the bard songs you can play, and like just the way that you can play them with different instruments too, and not to mention like for the Raphael fight, it wins hands down,
man,
just for that one track,
right?
And I think best audio design, it didn't get nominated for that, and I get that because it's not really the type of game for that. I think that is a 3-way tie for me. Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2, and then Resident Evil 4 probably. But I mean, Hi-Fi Rush also is that's a tight one, man.
For me, this is really tight because I was also a really big fan of Dead Space.
And see, I didn't play the Dead Space remake, but I know you were playing it and it looked really good.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, like in terms of like horror survival games. I don't know which one I like more between Dead Space and Resident Evil 4. Like they both to me just did what they needed to do.
Yeah.
But in terms of like audio design, with audio design, for me, the three-way tie is actually between Alan Wake 2, Dead Space, and Resident Evil 4. Horror games or games that those that suspenseful atmosphere, they know that part of the assignment is to nail
the audio.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know though. Hi-Fi Rush is such
That's
a
true.
unique way of integrating into the gameplay.
Yeah.
It really is sort of the modern day like Jet Set Radio.
It is. Yeah.
So if you had to pick one, I'm probably going to say Resident Evil 4.
I think that's what I was leaning towards. Yeah. Man, I might change it to Dead Space. How they play with the sound echoing through the corridors really kicks it up a notch. I'm going to say Dead Space.
Gotcha. Best performance, man. This is interesting. Ben Starr, Final Fantasy 16. He plays the main protagonist. Cameron Monaghan, we all know he is Cal Kestis in Jedi Survivor. Idris Elba in Phantom Liberty. Melanie Liburd for Alan Wake 2. I'm not sure who that is in that game. I haven't played enough of it.
The other protagonist.
Oh, okay. Neil Newbin, who is Astarion, as we discussed from Baldur's Gate 3. And Yuri Lowenthal, who is Peter Parker from Spider-Man 2.
It's a good lineup.
It is a great lineup. I think they're all deserving, other than maybe Ben Starr. And I don't love Jedi Survivor, but Cameron Monaghan does an amazing job with all of that. I think it should. I mean, if I had my pick, it goes to Idris Elba. If it goes to Neil, I'm 100% okay with that too. Baldur's Gate 3 should ride away with everything. But, I would be completely okay with Idris Elba, fucking A-list actor beating out, a video game guy.
I gotta play Phantom Liberty and see him in this game.
They did such a good job. I mean, it took them 3 years, so I don't want to. I don't want to quite. I don't want to quite suck them off, but they can get a handy.
I'm going with Yuri, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, his Spider-Man is. All puns intended. It is spectacular. It is amazing. Yeah, man. Like this motherfucker just every aspect of his performance just bleeds Peter. And he's done it now. 2 games with the Miles cameo, if you want to count that too. I mean, in this game, just by itself, yeah. He there's very few, performances, especially when it comes to like superheroes, that can like really make me think that your performance embodies it. Kevin Conroy easily had it as Batman in the Arkham games because it's
he's Kevin fucking Conroy.
Yeah. But man, what Yuri Lowenthal does here, like I was beyond impressed, to put it lightly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it. Innovation and accessibility. I don't know.
What does that mean exactly?
Basically, they're talking about how well you can tailor the game to like people with certain handicaps.
Oh,
things like
okay.
I don't know that we know enough to speak on this one, to be honest.
I don't.
And I think that's important as a content creator to be able to go.
Yeah.
I don't know enough to speak on this.
Yeah.
I know that Microsoft has been doing a lot in that sort of avenue. So, Diablo 4 and Forza are very likely on this, but like I said, I just don't know enough to really make a call.
Right.
Same thing with Games for Impact. I haven't played a single one of those.
I was looking at that list and yeah, I'm not familiar.
Best ongoing game. I can see Genshin Impact getting this because of how popular it is, but I honestly think that they're gonna give this to Cyberpunk.
I was like, yeah, they can give this to Cyberpunk,
I think Final Fantasy 14 is also a great contender for this, and I mean, it's not like anybody would riot in the streets if they gave it to Fortnite, but I really do think that they're gonna give this to Cyberpunk. I think I voted for Cyberpunk. But Final Fantasy 14, man, they are really.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, that's still going strong.
I'm playing it now.
Yeah.
Kay got into it, and I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm going back to the MMO space. Here we are. So yeah, I'm actually playing. I'm playing that right now. So, best community support. This is not close. It's Baldur's Gate 3. Everyone else can fuck off. Cyberpunk wins this. I will be so livid because I'm sorry, but not putting out any kind of fucking roadmap and taking 3 years to come out with 85% of the original game you promised is not.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but you're right. I mean, how can you give this anything other than Larian?
You cannot give this to anybody but Larian.
Yeah.
They can fuck off.
Yeah.
Best independent game, Sea of Stars, hands down. I don't have to read the rest of these off, right? I mean,
no, I'm with you on that. Like, yeah, looking at this list here, no disrespect to these other games, but I mean, Sea of Stars really did scratch an itch that I really was craving for. You know,
like Cocoon looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the next category is best debut indie game, and the nominees for that: Cocoon, Dredge, Pizza Tower, Venba, which I've never heard of, and Viewfinder. I think Cocoon could win that. I mean, for sure. You got any thoughts on either one of those?
Not particularly because like the only ones I've really ever played or experienced was Sea of Stars as far as best independent game goes.
Gotcha.
And yeah, for the best debut indie games, I'm not thoroughly familiar with hardly any of these except for Cocoon. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Best mobile game. I don't know enough to speak on this because out of the like 2 mobile games that I play, they're not on the list.
Yeah. I don't see Marvel Strike Force on here, so I can't.
Which Blizzard just recently came out with Warcraft Rumble,
Oh.
and I'm guessing like maybe it didn't make the date because I feel like that would have been nominated.
I feel like Blizzard should stay away from mobile games after like Diablo Immortal. You know.
Yeah, but Rumble's pretty good.
Is
actually. Yeah, I've been playing it, and like it's not heavily monetized or anything either.
Oh
so.
shit!
I mean, it is monetized. It's a mobile game, but it's not like you can't fucking enjoy the game. Like it doesn't have like an energy system where you can like only play so much
until God. Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I think either Ever Crisis probably takes this or Monster Hunter is such a big deal. I'd probably take it. Best AR or VR game. I do think that this comes down to Resident Evil Village or Call of the Mountain, and I think they will give it to Call of the Mountain.
I can see that. Because
I think Sony is going to probably get fucked on almost all of these.
Yeah,
I don't see any Sony like big wins here.
No. Their big win was supposed to be last year.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Best action game.
Have you played the new Armored Core?
Yeah, and here's the thing, man.
Yeah.
I think Armored Core 6 in any other year is a Game of the Year nominee.
Oh, that's true, huh?
I think it takes this. I could see Dead Island 2 because it was very well received, but I think it's going to go to Armored Core.
Was Dead Island 2 well received?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean,
I guess I heard a few middling reviews on it. I didn't play it myself, so I can't really speak on it. But yeah.
Let's see what Metacritic looks like because that's 73 from critics, 76 for for gamers. It was better received on Xbox and PC though. That was the PS5 version. Maybe it had issues.
It could have.
On Xbox, it got a 76 from the critics, and so I don't know, but I think Armored Core. About to look at the Metacritic for that. Yeah, Armored Core is going to get it. It had an 86 Metascore and 80 with users. So I think it was better received.
Yeah.
Best action adventure game. I think that is probably going to go. Depending on how some of the other categories go, I could see.
It's a good category. I mean, a good lineup.
It's a good lineup. Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Jedi Survivor, Tears of the Kingdom. I honestly think Spider-Man 2 or Tears of the Kingdom wins that.
Yeah. I'm not sure how Spider-Man fares against any game that has Zelda in the title. You know.
Right. I mean, but I'm just going off of like what I know about fucking gaming journos.
Yeah, that's kind of and that's what my mindset is right now. Yeah. I don't know how in this environment a Spider-Man game would fare against anything that has Zelda in the title.
But it also could be like, okay, Alan Wake 2 loses everything to Baldur's Gate, and then it gets this.
That's true, yeah.
Because they're tied for most nominations.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. So, best RPG, fucking get out of here. It's Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, and not only that, man, but like
Final Fantasy 16 being nominated for this makes me want to vomit up this table, like a flirkin.
I mean, I think it's more of an RPG than like Starfield, but like I look at this list, man, and it's like I only see 2 traditional RPGs, and that makes me sad.
I mean, I think Starfield's more of an RPG than Final Fantasy 16 is.
I mean, look, it has a skill tree, but I don't think it's a RPG. But I have to get past the notion that RPGs have evolved, over the years.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not looking at it from like a turn-based perspective, but I am looking at it from a, like your progression of your gear and your character and your ship and whatever else is like the major driving force behind the game. Whereas with Final Fantasy 16, I don't feel like that's it. I feel like
I feel like that's more for me. I think that makes it more role playing. Like when I look at like Starfield or like that type of system, I'm like, action adventure games have that. Spider-Man has gear and skill tree progression and
but that's just because RPG elements have invaded every genre.
Yeah, and so like the bleed over makes it weird sometimes, but I think that like having a narrative with like a cohesive storyline, that kind of goes from A to B, strongly depends on like, okay, is this an RPG? And like for me, Baldur's Gate 3 and Sea of Stars has that in space. I can't speak about Lies of P.
Yeah.
I kind of thought that was like a roguelite. I don't know. But
yeah.
So I don't know. I guess to me, I looked at that. I'm like, man, that category makes me sad. That like, I don't see 5 of what I consider to be RPGs. It's like it looks like they had to struggle to put 5 in that category.
They had to struggle to put Starfield anywhere. Yeah, I mean, it's Baldur's Gate 3 though. Who we're kidding?
Yeah.
Best fighting game. We have the nominees: God of Rock, Mortal Kombat 1, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, Pocket Bravery, and Street Fighter 6. I think Mortal Kombat 1 or Street Fighter 6 is going to get this.
Oh yeah, that's where my mind was at.
And Street Fighter 6 has been really well received. I think any other year Street Fighter 6 gets the Game of the Year nod.
Yeah, I think when 5 came out, like back in 2016, I think it got a lot more nods.
Yeah.
But yeah, out of those, Mortal Kombat 1 and Street Fighter 6. Yeah, that's close. I don't know. It's got to be one of those 2 though.
Best family game, Disney Illusion Island. I doubt either of us have played a lot of these. Party Animals, Pikmin 4, Sonic Superstars, Super Mario Brothers Wonder. I think
Super Mario Brothers Wonder has to.
Super Mario Brothers or Sonic Superstars walks away with that for sure. Best sim or strategy game. We have Advance Wars 1 and 2 reboot, City Skylines 2, Company of Heroes 3, Fire Emblem Engage, and Pikmin 4. I think City Skylines 2 is not going to win this because it's got a lot of problems.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. And the first one's amazing.
Yeah, I really like the first one.
In the first one.
Yeah.
And then the second one, it's not like a they can't fix it thing, but they got to fix it.
Yeah.
I think Advance Wars is very likely to win this, but I could totally see. I think this is anybody's game though, because you always got to look at like, okay, well, there's always the Nintendo bias.
Yeah, and it looks like there's a good bit of Nintendo just in this.
There is.
Yeah.
We're getting near the end here because we have been on this for a bit. We have Best Sports or Racing Game. Nominees EA Sports, FC24. We have F1 23, Forza Motorsport, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, and the Crew Motorfest. To this, for me, I think Forza.
It's Forza.
Yeah. Easy.
On my damn Xbox, that shit takes up an ass of space, but it's fun as hell.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Best multiplayer game presented by Discord. What a fucking dystopian nightmare we are in.
When I read that, I was like, I don't know if you just put that in here just to be tongue in cheek.
No, dog. Like they sponsored the category. It's Baldur's Gate 3. Yes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I could see them giving that to Diablo. By the way, nominees: Baldur's Gate 3, Diablo 4, Party Animals, Street Fighter 6, Super Mario Brothers Wonder. They gotta give that to Baldur's Gate, but I could see Diablo getting it.
I mean,
it's not gonna fucking get anything else.
Yeah, I mean, so like
why is it not in Best RPG?
Yeah, so like
it's more of an RPG than 3 of those fucking games.
Right. Yeah, like so. If Baldur's Gate 3 didn't exist, then it goes to Diablo, for best multiplayer. Because, again, that's kind of... If Diablo has shitty multiplayer, then it completely failed as a Diablo game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, again, Baldur's Gate 3, if any other studio could make a game like Baldur's Gate 3, it would be single player.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the fact that it is multiplayer, not just multiplayer,
but like
couch co-op if you want to,
and really like leaned into like
the
multiplayer, and it's such a different game.
It is
multiplayer,
yeah.
Especially if you have all 4 people as PCs.
Right. Oh, have you done that?
Yeah, I'm doing that with the Polycule right now.
Oh.
Yeah, me, Oz, Kay, and Don have a 4-player game, and it literally just feels like D&D.
Yeah.
Because we're all doing whatever, and we've murdered at least 2 companions thus far. I killed the shit out of Astarion. I staked them. And then we killed Karlach so we could get the robes for Will and then
That's
take
dark
them
as
from
hell.
him. Yeah, so. This is the one I really want to talk about more than anything.
Oh.
Most anticipated game for next year, I guess. So I can tell you what it ain't. It ain't Star Wars Outlaws, which is going to be Assassin's Creed by the number Star Wars.
Is that what that is?
That's the Ubisoft Star Wars game that looks fucking terrible.
I haven't seen it.
It looks god-awful. It looks like it's going to be like Han Solo Assassin's Creed. Yeah.
All right.
To me, it's like I'm looking forward to Like a Dragon. To me though, it's between Rebirth and Hades 2.
Yep. The one that I personally am looking forward to the most is Hades 2, but I think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will
get it.
Yep.
I'm more hyped for Rebirth. I have more faith in Hades 2.
Okay.
Because every time they come out with something for Rebirth, I'm just like,
yeah.
But then I'm like, then I remember Remake. Yeah. And I'm like, this seems like an easy W. But it's not for Square.
I guess every time I think about Rebirth, I'm just thinking about how they're going to fuck up the story this time.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, Hades 2 is going to be really good. And, like, here's the thing is, I'm going to go ahead and, like, I don't know this as a spoiler because I don't know shit that you guys can't publicly find about Rebirth. Trust me, if I had an in at Square Enix, I wouldn't have it anymore. Listen, this is what they're going to do, okay? They are going to have Zach step in and take the stab for Aerith at the end. They're going to have Aerith live and go into the next game, and Zack will die in her place at the end of this. Mark my words, they're going to do it, and to them, they think it's the coolest, most creative twist of all time. They literally think that, like, the music from fucking Unbreakable is going to start playing, and...
Man, fuck you because you're right. Like, I didn't even think about them doing that, but yeah. Because that sounds just stupid enough for them to do.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, the idea of seeing what happens with Aerith if she lives and continues on is fantastic, but, like, how are you going to set up Zack to have the emotional weight of that when...
And how do you expect the rest of the party to carry on with that type of, vigilance?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be fucking weird.
Yeah. But they're going to do
twist. Aerith becomes the big bad.
I 100% don't think she dies. But I get it. Like, I get why you would want to do that. I also think either one or two things is going to happen after Rebirth because they're only going to her death. Right? And so, like, that means that we're going to start the next game off with the trip to the crater, which seems like a super strange way to start a video game.
They're probably gonna. They've got to change more of the content,
especially if she lives.
Oh yeah.
But then, like, all the medieval stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine playing through that like 8 hours into a game? Like, it would just. The pacing would be so odd.
Yeah, the pacing is gonna be weird as fuck. But like they're gonna add, they're gonna have to add so much more content to it though, to kind of pad it out.
But so there's no way we get this in a trilogy. It's gonna be 4 games, or they're just gonna fuck up the last bit. Because there's no way they cover everything from the ancient city to the end of Final Fantasy VII in one game.
Yeah, no.
That's 2.5. Well, not 2.5, but that's like 2 discs and some change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a lot of fucking ground to cover.
They have to cut out all of the end of the game stuff in this 3,
Yeah, and technically, we don't even know how they handle the the open roadness of it, like the travel.
From what I have heard, it is actually going to be quite good.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's apparently got some wide open spaces. Like, apparently you can walk to, like, Mount Condor and, like, the Chocobo Farm and all that stuff. Yeah, so.
Shit.
And, like, the traversal and stuff is going to be really good, too. So I think they're going to do the little rover vehicle and, like, the crashed plane and all that stuff. Yeah. I'm interested to see how they handle the high winds in the next one, but that's a problem for... We won't get that in this console generation.
No, I was just thinking about that. Yeah. By the time we get the third one, the third entry...
We're going to get 1 remake per console gen. Because FF7 Remake came on PS4.
It was PS4, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was upgraded for the 5
You're right.
After the fact.
Yeah.
So, we're going to get Rebirth on the 5, and then on the 6, we'll get Resurgence, or whatever they call the next one.
Yeah.
Revengeance, Resurgence.
So they're recreating Final Fantasy VII for like obviously a newer generation who may not be familiar with the original. Listen, if they have the ending already mapped out, if they already know where they want to go and how to get there, then I will take that journey with them.
Yeah.
But if they're pulling a Kingdom Hearts where they don't know from game to game, then I'm out.
So, like, here's the thing is, like, the first game for me, I forgave it for the god-awful story changes because of just how much nostalgia it hit me with. Like, and we preach against that all the time. But, like, in that game, it just, for instance, like, certain things like Sector 6.
Yeah.
Were better than the original.
Yeah.
And there's so many things like the climb up to the tower, it's like they took so many of these super iconic moments from one of the biggest video games of all time and like one of the best video games of all time, and some of them are even better. So it's like I don't want to shit on that.
Yeah.
But you guys apparently do. So it's like I don't love it, but I also don't hate it either because it's like even though you guys did some stupid shit with the story that I don't feel like they're going to recover from, I actually think it's going to snowball into worse and worse things. What they did give us, man, like I would rather have it than not have it.
I'm worried about what they're doing with Sephiroth as well.
Yes.
We
are going to get to play as him in the flashback, and I am excited for that.
Oh, that should be cool.
If they can nail him as a sympathetic villain, like almost like a Magneto. I mean, I hate that that's the go-to for that, but if they actually have us play as him, and it's almost the Killmonger thing, right? Where it's like, well, fucking Shinra is just using us.
Yep.
Okay, check. We should think for ourselves and do our own thing and take revenge against them. Cool. Cloud, I'm going to start off by burning down your village.
Yeah. Hold up.
Wait. I was with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I missed a step somewhere between 2 and 3. Like,
yeah. And then the fact that he just goes batshit insane.
Right. In Hojo's lab in Nibelheim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and this like kind of this whole knowledge of, that he is a fucking experiment and everything, and
so that's gonna be interesting then. So during that flashback sequence, you're gonna play Sephiroth.
We played as him very shortly in the game, but that flashback sequence we're gonna get it, and we actually are gonna get to play as Sephiroth. I think during the whole thing, I think like you'll be able to like switch to Cloud maybe, but like Sephiroth's gonna be like the main character.
Yeah.
So I think if they can get him across as like a sympathetic, compelling villain during that, I think that's gonna be fucking dope. If they give us that scene of him walking through the fire in like fucking 4K, like whatever.
My pants would be off. Just automatically.
I got to roll up paper towels out of the couch. Same thing with like if they ever let me cast Knights of the Round. Like on PlayStation 6 when I finally can get that. If they let me cast Knights of the Round, bro, it's over with.
Bro, that shit would be ridiculous.
It's gonna be like a 30-minute cinematic.
Right.
You just set the controller down, put it on the charger.
Right.
I mean, nothing's gonna live.
Yeah.
Other than like the couple of weapons.
Right.
That's the other thing too. Is like I want a super hard Emerald and Ruby fight. Like the stuff they could do with that, with the modern technology and with the Galinka and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I
mean, so I guess one more thing about the whole new batch of Final Fantasy VII games. So like with the original, like there were characters like Yuffie or Vincent that you could just fuck them,
Yeah.
So, but I don't think that's an option this time around. It seems because like with the DLC, that's where you get Yuffie.
And she's in the game, but so is Red 13. By the way, Red 13 riding a fucking chocobo looks ridiculous. Have you seen it?
I've not seen that.
All right, well,
I'm trying to envision.
You're right. Yeah, so were they. Yeah, so were they. Man, all right, so I gotta say this though, and this is like some like Baldur's Gate, hey look us too shit, but like, so Square Enix came out and said some shit like, there's 2 versions of every quest in the game, and we're like, what? And they're like, yeah, so if you've already been to Cosmo Canyon, they'll call him Nanaki, but if you haven't, they'll call him Red 13.
Oh,
and shit. I'm like, that's not, that you're using these words, but they don't mean what you think they mean.
Let me see that. Jesus Christ. What the fuck?
Just Google Red 13 Chocobo, folks, and
somehow that's more ridiculous than what I had in mind.
Yeah, like it's like It's like the first Sonic draft. You know,
Right.
you're like, how did this make it through? Yeah, yeah. Like it's just
That's so fucking ridiculous.
yeah. But
I can't.
it does look like they're gonna go like really in depth into all the Chocobo stuff.
Yeah.
Which I thought that and like Mount Condor would certainly get thrown to the fucking wolves.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So.
Jesus.
We've been on this for quite a while, but nice little Final Fantasy preview there.
Oh yeah.
We were originally going to talk about the writers' strikes and the Screen Actors Guild strikes, but I think we can put that off because we've been at this for quite a while. I do want to quickly before we go, what do you have coming up in the next year or whatever, like any projects, video games, TV shows, movies that you're really hyped or excited about?
Yeah. So we already talked about Deadpool 3, obviously.
Yes.
And I mean, for so many reasons, I'm excited about that. I think it's going to be one of my favorite movies of next year, and also, I like in terms of like new superhero live action content, I ain't gonna have a whole lot next year. So I'm
We
gonna
have
need.
The Boys.
Yeah, yes, right. Got The Boys next year.
Maybe we'll get another season of Invincible, or maybe it'll take 3 years.
I hope it's the former and not the latter.
I would love a yearly season of that.
Oh, yeah.
Rick and Morty have you been keeping up with that?
I'm 3 episodes in, and it's been really good.
Okay, so it's like I felt like it was like 1, 2, 3, and then 4.
Oh, really?
But we watched 5 today,
Yeah.
and it is one of the most insane episodes. It may be a top 10 for me. Its main
Really?
storyline, yeah, I can't say anything.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check
Yeah.
that out. So 4 is more ridiculous than Spaghetti Suicide.
I think that is 4. That is 4.
Is that 4?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Then I've seen
So
4 episodes.
Yeah, the Mr. Poopy Butthole was episode 1.
Yeah.
The Rick and Jerry combo was 2.
The one with the president and
Unity
the
Return
that's
was 3.
right. That was 3. Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. But I said, man, because
The spaghetti was.
yeah,
It wasn't horrible. It wasn't the worst.
it wasn't.
episode.
Yeah. And I was like, this is not mom's spaghetti.
No.
You hope it's not mom's.
Yeah. But yeah. I mean, there's that. I'm excited for Dune 2.
That's
Very excited for
right.
that.
Yeah, what's supposed to come out like now?
Yeah.
But
Which
then they got pushed back.
the Marvels actually should be very thankful because it originally was not going to get a single IMAX release.
Oh
anywhere.
my god!
So if you look at the box office now, it could be even worse.
Yeah. So yeah,
Because originally, like Dune had IMAX locked up for 8 weeks.
I mean as it should,
Yeah.
But yeah, that would have been ugly.
Yeah.
That would have been really ugly.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I'm not really sure what all is coming out next year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're gonna get another. Well, we are gonna get the new Percy Jackson series,
Oh yeah, that's right.
and that looks really good.
TV show, right?
Yeah, and
Gotcha.
Edge is in it, so
Oh,
I think he's playing Ares
oh shit.
in that. Yeah, so Adam Copeland.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, like anybody knows him as that, but not Edge.
If you only ever watch AEW, then
Then you don't understand why he's a big deal in the first place.
oh
And you probably and you very likely are not watching this channel. Because we have talked some serious shit about it. Let's see, 2024 most anticipated movies. Apparently, they're doing a Mean Girls remake.
huh.
Nope. Madam Web is coming out. I know you're super fucking excited about that.
damn.
Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. That
Okay.
could be okay. We're getting another Kong Godzilla movie.
Another one?
Yeah.
Oh, they're gonna run it back?
Well, Brian Tyree Henry is in it, so I'm assuming that it's going to be in that same continuity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a follow up to the 2021 movie.
Okay.
Let's see what else we got here. They're coming out with the fucking Furiosa Mad Max sequel. I'll skip.
Oh, really? I didn't know they were doing that for real.
So here's the thing, and like this is like basically them taking out a shotgun and shooting me in the face. It's a Furiosa prequel movie, like her origin story.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I would rather blend myself up, but they got Anya Taylor-Joy to play her.
Oh.
So I'm super conflicted.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt as Garfield, I will hard pass.
Like the cat?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're making another Garfield movie, but Chris
Bill
Pratt
Murray was
voicing,
busy?
I guess so. They probably think he'll be dead by then. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes could be good. I don't.
Is that that's not a sequel to the Matt Reeves, or is that something different?
Yeah, apparently it is going to be in like that same continuity.
Oh.
The guy that made the Maze Runner movies is making it, though.
Okay.
But yeah, it takes place after the end of the events of War of the Planet of the Apes. So, we're getting another Bad Boys movie.
Oh, that's right.
So, all right. There's another Quiet Place movie coming out. I'm probably going to hard pass.
I love those movies.
This is called Day One, so it's actually going to be the invasion.
Oh.
So
that's a bad
it
day.
Could at least be in action.
A lot of people had to learn the hard way on that day.
They are coming out with a Twisters movie. That's going to be a sequel to Twister. But I'm like, does it have any of the?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Like, does it have any of the original cast?
I don't. Yeah.
Like that just seems like a weird. I mean, you're not gonna get. I mean, Bill Paxton's dead.
Right.
So. We have Deadpool 3 coming out. We talked about this.
In terms of TV shows, isn't Born Again supposed to come out next year? No, or did it get pushed back?
There's no way that's going to happen now because they just scrapped the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently it takes like 4 weeks to film one episode, and it's 18 episodes.
Yeah. God damn.
Eli Roth has a Borderlands movie coming out. Are you excited about that?
Eli Roth is doing it?
Yeah. That's the exact reaction you should have to Eli Roth doing anything you remotely like. We have a Kraven the Hunter movie coming out.
Jesus.
Beetlejuice 2. We're going back to the well and digging up Michael Keaton. Apparently, so they're coming out with a movie called Transformers 1. And it has it's like supposed to be on Cybertron.
Oh, okay. And you've piqued my interest.
And it's going to be like the original like rivalry between Optimus and Megatron. We will see. They've got an amazing cast attached to this. They have Keegan-Michael Key, Brian Tyree Henry, John Hamm, Lawrence Fishburne, Chris Hemsworth, and Scarlett Johansson.
I mean, like the premise and the cast, I might actually go see that in theater.
Yeah, me too. Joker 2 is coming out.
I got excited and I got really sad.
Hard pass. Venom 3 is tentatively scheduled for next November.
Oh, really?
Gladiator 2, I think, has a great chance of being fantastic.
Yeah.
And Joseph Quinn is officially cast for that. He's going to play, what's his name's, was it Max? Not Maximus.
Joaquin.
He's going to play Joaquin Phoenix's character's kid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Denzel Washington's attached to that. Like, it's going to be...
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And, I mean, Ridley Scott, me and you are both big stands for Ridley Scott.
And plus, Ridley's like 80 years old, so I got to see this before,
Yeah. Unfortunately, we also have a new Lord of the Rings movie coming out.
Wait, what?
Fuck right off. Yeah, it's going to be called War of the Rohirrim.
This is my first time hearing about that.
Yeah, well...
you sound super excited.
Must be something going on with my mic then. And they're also going to come out with a Karate Kid movie that is not in the continuity of Cobra Kai.
So what's the point, man?
Right. I'm like, well, apparently you didn't learn your fucking lesson about that. I feel like
they can wax on and fuck off then.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know. I think there's some bangers coming out next year, but I also think there's a lot of shit that's really recycled and whatnot too. So
next year will really be like the test to see how much AI influence got through during like the writer strike era.
Before they like effectively banned the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a good thing. But man, I swear to God, Blue Beetle was written by an AI. Let me say though that I think it's interesting. Like next year for video games is fucked. Like Rebirth could be like game of the year.
Yeah.
Next year, there ain't shit coming out. They're gonna release a remaster of Last of Us Part 2, right?
A remaster.
Yeah. AKA a slightly up-res.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, the same shit they did with The Last of Us 1.
A slightly touched-up game that's going to be $70.
Everybody's saying they're going to charge $70 for it.
And my prediction, I 100% believe that they will replace the but they will alter the resemblance of the characters to match Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey.
Oh, okay, so maybe I just have a little bit more faith in humanity than you do.
I think it's more about Neil Druckmann and Sony.
You
definitely have more faith in Sony than I do, but that's not a high bar.
Yeah, it's not a high bar. But as far as Neil Druckmann goes, he had all my favor, and then he released the sequel, and then he lost all of it. I don't know, man. Like that it's just a blatant cash grab. Like, I've said it time and time again. I'm a huge fan of the first Last of Us. I refuse to pay $70 for that quote unquote remake or remastered, whatever they released last year.
Right.
I'm not gonna pay that kind of money for a game that came with my fucking PlayStation.
Right.
Yeah.
Fucking garbage. But yeah, man. I think next year for video games is like real slim.
Yeah, I was trying to think, like, because this year was, loaded.
Yeah, but it was, like, we had all the stuff that really got, like, kicked by the pandemic, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of all finally came out this year. So, I mean, we have Rebirth next year, but, like, I mean, we're not going to get a new Mario. We're not going to get a new Zelda. We may not even get a fucking Call of Duty game next year because of the buyout.
Yeah.
I think Microsoft's
the current one's being drugged right now, so they need to take some time and
Yeah, I think Microsoft's going to end that yearly release bullshit, which
they should
to do.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, we got a Street Fighter this year. Not going to get one next year. We got a Mortal Kombat this year. We're not going to get one next year. We got a fucking Diablo game. So unless Blizzard is going to poop out StarCraft 3 next year, that's not going to happen. EA has nothing. Like BioWare isn't gonna have a Dragon Age or a Mass Effect next year. And when they do, I'm not gonna want to play it. The Kotor remake is dead. I don't know if you heard about that.
Is it officially dead?
There is no work being done on it at all.
It's probably for the best.
And they just cut 30% of the staff at Embracer.
Ooh.
What would be fucking amazing is if like Lucasfilm was like, "Hey, Larian, listen."
That would be. I mean, yeah.
Larian could take 12 years to make that game, and I would pay the cost of the game now and still wait.
Oh yeah, it'd be worth it. Yeah, pay the cost of the game, knowing I don't have a console in existence that this
is gonna run on. Yeah, I don't give a shit. Like, please.
They're already solidified as like the quote unquote new BioWare, but that would just really.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That whole thing just. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, we may get a new Resident Evil next year. Capcom maybe.
Yeah.
Because they've kind of been doing new entry remake.
That's true.
New entry remake.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
But it's gonna be slim pickings, man. We're not gonna get a new Jedi game. We'll probably get that Outlaws game, but that's gonna be garbage.
Oh yeah. I mean, hell, it feels like 2024 is gonna be like 2020.
Yeah. Well, we'll get Hades.
Oh yeah, that's
Hades
true.
2.
Yeah. Because I was thinking about that earlier, man. I just don't foresee a lot of banger video games. Like, again, there was just so many from the beginning of this year. You know what I mean? On through the end, like there were just banger video games, or at least high profile video games.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. So I guess the good news is like next year, like my wallet can recover from all the video games I bought this year, and maybe I'll clean up that back catalog.
Let me ask you one question before we cut it loose.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's any way we get a GTA 6 next year? Because if so, that's that steals everything. That steals everything.
I'm gonna say about this time next year we get GTA 6.
And that would be my thing is like, okay, they're known for doing this. They put it out at the tail end of the console generation, so that they know how to work with the consoles. All the optimizations are there, and then also they can just resell the game in another year or two when fucking the new ones come out. So that's their MO.
It is,
and it works. I mean,
that shit's been working like hell.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's the play. I think they really are sitting on a lot of stuff. Like I think that Rockstar is keeping it close to the chest.
Yeah, I think so too. And the trailer is supposed to drop sometime in the next couple of weeks, I believe.
Yeah, they'll debut at the Game Awards.
Oh yeah, so. And I mean that'll be money.
And Larian said that they're going to reveal their next game at the Game Awards, and I fucking hope the big. I hope it's just not Divinity 3. I really, really, really hope that the rumors are true that they are going to do an Icewind Dale expansion to Baldur's Gate, because I would lose my goddamn mind.
Yeah,
and if you think about it, there's like no snow in the game. Like
that's
there's
true.
There's no like frigid area. And I'm like, that would make sense if they plan to do an expansion in Icewind Dale, because that's going to be all snow.
If they did an expansion, what do you raise the level cap to if you're Larian?
15 max.
Yeah.
You know damn well anything beyond that is just absolute.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, you just can't. Like, how do you even make the spells work at 15?
Yeah.
I mean, the level 6 spells, there's not that many of them in the game, but they're all nuts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably the best way to play that, just because, like you said, anything beyond that, man, and it's just, what are we doing here?
At 15, you're already a demigod.
Yeah.
At, like, 18, you're an actual god. And
right.
then at 20... what?
Yeah.
What, I mean, you got to think about, like, a level 15 character could solo the Raphael fight. No problem.
Yeah. And that's wild.
Yeah.
Because that shit almost, that shit, had me stressed.
So,
yeah.
I hope that this leads to us getting more licensed Wizards of the Coast D&D content,
Oh, yeah.
Maybe good content, but dude, I'm gonna tell you, if Wizards is smart, they go ahead and lock Larian up for like a 4 and a 5.
Oh yeah, yeah. Give them what they want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, whatever.
Because the return is going to be worth it.
Yeah, like make Divinity 3 and 4 in between them if you want. Whatever, we'll wait.
Yeah. And I mean, above all else, man, like when BG3 cleans up, at the Game Awards this year, I just really hope that there's less denial from these other game developers, like more embracing of what is being done here, which is creating amazing content for the sake of creating amazing content, And
it's crazy because Larian has a giant team, and like their game, there's no monetization,
right?
And they're still making bank. So it's like you guys, you can't say, oh, okay, well all these games are so expensive to make and time consuming and all this. Yeah, whatever. It's about corporate profits. That's all it's about.
Yeah.
It's about moving that damn needle and squeezing as much as you can out of the lowest common denominator that you can put out. And that's been a sickness in the game industry for a long time, and it's just getting worse.
Yeah.
So, that being said, man, we've been at it for a while here. Thank you for joining me for the season premiere.
Hey, man, thank you for having me, man. I got to get a lot off my chest this episode.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad. So what's coming up on Superhero Homies other than the begotten Superhero Homies Trivia Challenge?
Yes. So that is still coming up. It may be push back until a time when Brendan can do it, or he might just lose his spot. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
these things happen.
We could always get the homie Dylan in there.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he'd love that. But no, there will be the Loki episode coming up when we review season 2. But also, I will be reviewing the mid-season finale or the first 4 episodes of Invincible season 2, and that'll be next week. So those are the most 2 recent episodes I have coming up, as well as I'll be talking about the passing of the mantle in comic books. Examples when this has been done well in TV or in movies or in comic books, and examples when maybe it hasn't been done so well. So those are a few of the episodes coming up, and there's always more coming down the pipeline, and there's some really cool things also in the works, and I can't wait to show all you guys.
Well, you heard it here first. Check out Superhero Homies, and I'm pretty sure that our awesome podcast assembled Linktree link is in the description for this video, and you can go click on that, and you can find Tavern Notice Board, you can find Superhero Homies, you can find Entertainment Evolved, you can find Coffee and Lore on there. All very cool stuff. This has been the season premiere, and this has been Entertainment Evolved.